Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Lucas Tyndale Live. If you're here today coming into our live stream, I want to welcome you. If you're watching this by replay, I want to thank you for being here. Please stay tuned. We have a wonderful guest here today on the Lucas Tyndale Live show. A good friend of mine, Mr. Javan Shaw, is going to talk to us about fitness, our diet, eating right. We're going to answer questions. We're going to talk about how to deal with this quarantine. I mean, people are putting on quarantine pounds because they're sitting in the house all day and the Doritos just won't stop calling your name, right? And then people are spending more money on food than because they're not spending money on gas and travel and other things. So now they have more food options. And a lot of times people are eating to numb the pain of other things that they're dealing with, the loneliness, the isolation. There's a lot of stuff that goes on mentally and emotionally and chemically for so many of us. And that's why so many people battle with eating healthy. It is a real thing. It is a real issue. And in a time like this, we know it is a relevant topic. So we're going to talk about it today. My guest is going to answer your questions. And if you're watching this by replay and you have questions, please feel free to send your questions in. You can go to Lucas Live Media on Facebook, like that page. Please, everybody, like Lucas Live Media page. Or you can follow me on Instagram or follow Javan Fit on Instagram or Facebook and get your questions answered. We want to make sure that this is a community thing, that this is bigger than just today, that you guys know that we're in your corner and we want to support you. My goal here on the show is to bring you guys great guests that can help you in your life. This is while we're entertaining and fun, and I hope you guys are enjoying the laughter and the fun that we have. I want you guys to know I want this show to mean something to people. I want you to walk away from this show thinking, wow, I learned something, or I was inspired, or I was motivated to do something different. Or the new word that I've talked to my wife yesterday about this. So I've been thinking about I've been saying this show is education, motivation, inspiration. And I've been talking to my wife about it. I'm like, I really like that. I'm like, but I feel like there's something missing. And motivation and inspiration are such close things. I'm like, man, I need something else. So you guys can help me decide this. But I think that I want to talk about liberation. I think it should be education, motivation, liberation. Liberation is liberty. It's freedom. It's freedom of thought, freedom of expression, free to live and do and be you. I think so many people are bound by rules that don't exist. That's one thing I learned recently, is that we are often bound by rules that don't exist. We made them up or somebody else made them up. It's not a real rule. Nobody else is following it. Everybody else is doing what they think is best for them. And the rest of us are finding ourselves sometimes feeling bound by rules that aren't real. So I want you guys to be thinking, I want you guys to think about being liberated, educated, motivated today on this show. I hope you guys are feeling that. Thank you so much. I see you guys who are commenting. Thank you guys who are commenting. Please share this broadcast wherever you're watching it from. We appreciate that. We do appreciate the continued support. And I just want to thank everyone. Yesterday, I put a call out for everyone to follow my YouTube page because I want to get my subscribers up and follow my Lucas Live Media Facebook page because I am looking at having Les Brown come on the show, and I'm working on that. And I want them to know there's going to be an audience there for them. So the best way to show that is to show followers and subscribers and say, hey, there's X amount of people. And while we may not get into the thousands in the next week or so, I believe we can make a strong push and really show them that people are interested and people are enjoying the show and they're willing to tune in to see him for sure if he comes on the show. So thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. To a few of you who are commenting here, Christina, Ro, Angela, thank you guys for your comments. Please, during this whole thing, I want you guys to be putting your questions in the comment box. This is going to be a lot of Q&A today, not just me asking questions, but we'd like to get your questions answered as well. So please, please, please feel free and ask questions in the comments, be it for you, be it for a family member or a friend. Please ask your questions today so that Javid can answer your questions while we have him here today. So before we pull in our special guest, I want to give you guys one of my favorite quotes. One of my favorite quotes is, don't spend $1 worth of time on a 10-cent decision. Don't spend $1 worth of time on a 10-cent decision. What that means is we often spend more time than what it's worth thinking about doing something rather than making the decision as to whether we're going to do it or not. So let's make some solid decisions today. Let's decide, what are you going to move forward with? What are you going to start doing that you weren't doing before? What are you going to stop doing that you want to stop doing? As we talk about fitness and healthy eating and dieting, it's a tough subject for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to go there because they just don't know if they're ready. But I don't want you to spend $1 worth of time on a 10-cent decision. You don't need to spend a ton of time on something that should be an easy decision for you. So think about that today as we go into our discussion and beyond. And as we start now, I want to welcome to the show our guest, my friend, Mr. Javan Shaw. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you
Hey,
today?
what's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I reached out to you a week or so ago, and I said, "Man, I got to have you on the show." You're somebody who we worked out together in the past. You were just starting your personal trainer thing. I think I was a guinea pig or something. Um, but it was cool. It was really cool. And you've taken it a lot further from there. So, Javan, would you mind telling us a little bit about your story? How did you get into fitness as a lifestyle, and then taking it to the next level to becoming a bodybuilder?
Well, once again, thanks for having me on. And I would say back then,
Absolutely.
I didn't even know like how far I was going to take this. Like really how I got into fitness was I was just a skinny guy trying to gain some weight. Like that is
Okay.
it. So I don't
That's
know.
all.
Just a skinny guy
That's
trying to
all.
gain some weight. So like what I find is like a lot of my clients are usually on the opposite end of the spectrum. But I was
Sure.
just trying to gain some weight, so I just started to get into weightlifting, and I
Hmm.
was like college age when I really started getting consistent with it. But
Hmm.
honestly, I would say the main reason I started to like lift weights and focus on exercising so seriously was as I was in college. I remember just feeling like I was just inconsistent with everything. And
Okay.
like I would start something, I wouldn't finish it. I would say, okay, I'm gonna start like reading my Bible every day, or I'm gonna start eating healthy, or whatever it was. And I could
Uh huh.
never stay consistent. So I remember in actuality, I remember being in a parking lot one day, and I just honestly I prayed about it. I was like, I don't know why I prayed about working out, but I did.
Hey, that's okay. Nothing too small for God.
I guess so. This is the honest truth. I prayed about it. I was like, God, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I want to commit to working out like consistently for at least a year. And I just
Hmm.
want to see where it goes. I want to see where it takes me. And honestly, that's where it started. And I probably was like 20, 21. And,
Hmm.
there were other things that led to me like wanting to work out. Um,
Sure.
but that was kind of the main feeling that I was feeling,
Sure.
kind of at that moment. So yeah, I remember
That's
starting
awesome.
there.
Interesting, interesting, interesting. So you had a come to Jesus moment, literally, in a parking lot, where you were like, "I gotta do something different.
Yeah,
I gotta
and it
make a
was
change."
exactly. I mean, there were other things that kind of led up to me. Like it was, I had a poor self image at the time too, you know.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like I'm like, oh man, I don't feel any confidence in myself. But it was like I just like I wasn't happy with where I was because I felt like I could be a lot better. If I actually
Interesting.
stuck with something, stuck with working out or
Yeah.
whatever. But I do remember this. It was a couple instances. So I used
Uh
to work
huh.
at a grocery store, and my
Uh
first
huh.
job, it was like one of my first jobs, and I was a bagger. So there
Uh
was
huh.
this girl that was, one of the checkout girls, and
Uh huh.
so I started getting some tattoos. Like I'm like, okay, I get some tattoos now. I'm old enough or whatever.
Uh
So I
huh.
got this tattoo, and I'm showing everybody at the grocery store. I'm like, hey, check out my tattoo. Everybody like, oh man, that's cool, nice, nice, nice. Show the girl,
Right.
I got a crush on, and
Uh huh.
she's like, oh man, hey, you gonna have to start lifting some weights or something because your arms are too skinny to be getting a bunch of tattoos. I was
Oh,
crushed. I was
wow.
crushed. So one other thing we had, same thing. I was at the grocery store. A lot of stuff happened at the grocery store. So,
So everything happened in the grocery store.
yeah. So when I got to college, my mom said, I was still living at home, and because I was going to Akron, I lived in Akron, so I just commuted from home. So
Hmm.
soon as I got to college, first day, my
Hmm.
mom's like, hey, you guys are going to have to start paying me rent. I'm not cooking for y'all no more. I'm not washing your clothes.
Wow.
Basically, you guys are living here, but you're on your own. So,
Right.
and my mom was a cooker, so she always cooked us food. So, make a long story short, I'm no
No.
longer, I don't know how to cook. I don't know anything. So, basically, every day I
Mm-hmm.
went to school, I would eat Pop-Tarts and one of those Starbucks espresso drinks that, you can find in the refrigerated section. And I'll play basketball all day long. And then I'll go to work at the
Uh-huh.
grocery store. So I'm working at the
Uh-huh.
grocery store, and the manager's wife was like the front end clerk or manager. She calls me in the office,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Hey, Javan, I noticed. Hey, man, you're losing a lot of weight, and I was making sure everything's okay with you. Are you okay?" I think she
Uh-huh.
thought I was on drugs or something. I'm like, "Everything's fine."
So
you know,
clearly you're doing those drugs.
clearly
Clearly.
something's going on. I'm like,
Clearly
everything's
something's wrong.
fine. And what was happening was I was actually saving up for a car at the time, so I wasn't putting as much money into eating, and I was focused on saving as
Right.
much money as possible to get a car. So, you know,
Hilarious.
all those things happened to put in my mind, like, I'm like, hey, I better start doing something. People are thinking something about me. So,
Absolutely. So you didn't want to be considered someone who was strung out on drugs. So that was
yeah,
another reason you started lifting weights. That's important.
hey,
That's
man, these are things that just happen. I guess they put in my mind, like, hey, man, I got to
and
start
it
doing
pushed you
something.
to change.
Yeah,
It's interesting because yeah, it's interesting that you say you were on the other end of the spectrum, right? And I have another friend who is like that. He just wanted to get bigger, and he was small. Now, most people you work out with and you train, and most people that I know, that's not their problem.
exactly.
They wish they were living in opposite world where their only problem was they don't eat enough food and they're too small. And most people are trying to lose some level of weight or trim down. Some people aren't obese, say, but they're um, they know things don't look the way they want to look. They don't look like what they think they should look like when they look in the mirror. So you do, while your issue was on the other end of the spectrum, you're saying you understand and empathize with people who are coming from the other end. How could you possibly understand what it's like for somebody who's battled with being overweight their whole life? How do you help somebody when it would almost seem that you don't understand?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. But actually, I think, well, it's two reasons I would say. I think there is, within all of us, there's certain insecurities that we all have. Whether you're
Yeah.
overweight, underweight, or it could not might not even be a weight issue. But there's
Right.
something that we all have about ourselves that, we don't necessarily like physically. For most people, there
Mhm.
might be somebody who just thinks they're, all that. Hey,
They're
I'm
perfect.
the man. Yeah, I'm the main
Right.
man.
They look in
Not
the
no.
mirror like, hey, right.
But I say for most people, there's some type of insecurity that you have, about yourself physically, um, and that might not necessarily have to do with, like I said, like being overweight or something like that. And I know there is a difference, from a person who might say they're overweight, because I think the stigma in society with people who are overweight is a lot more harsh than maybe people who are, maybe a little thin.
Sure. Right.
So that's one thing. But I think another major factor is why I would be able to relate somewhat is because one of the
Hmm.
most important people in my life really struggled with being drastically overweight. And that's my mom, one of my
Uh-huh.
earliest clients. And I
Right.
remember, the first time when she asked me, would I start training her to help her lose weight? And when I was, first of all, I was so excited that, she was willing to do that. And I
Uh-huh.
remember her first walking into the gym and just the embarrassment that she felt. That I could just see on her face plainly. And the
Uh-huh.
look,
This is your mom here,
yes,
right?
yep, that's my mom there. And
Uh-huh.
she's lost over 175 pounds since we started working together.
Wow.
And
It's
but the look
incredible.
of embarrassment in her face, I at that moment, her walking in the gym, it was like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes where my mom never ever feels like that again.
Wow.
Because that I felt that, when you have a relative that close and
Yeah.
you can feel their pain, that's how I felt at that moment. And anybody can understand that if you have like a sibling or a parent who's gone through something traumatic and
Yeah.
you can see them like in that moment and you can sense their pain and their emotions. It was just like that. It was like me walking
That's
in as her.
powerful.
So just
That's
that feeling,
powerful.
yeah.
Yeah, your mom, there's nothing like your mom. And I remember this journey. I remember kind of following along as you were working out with your mom and the incredible transformation. I mean, the fact that one, she trusted you enough as her son. I mean, we grew up with the roles being reversed. You weren't telling your mom what to do before, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. You were like, Mom,
Right.
stop eating that. She was like, I'm telling you what to eat. Right? What are you
Exactly.
talking about? But
Exactly.
but she submitted to the process. She submitted to the plan. What do you think it was for her that made her, or has she shared with you, what was her why moment, her change of heart, her desire to change? What was it for her?
Yeah, fortunately enough, me and my mom really got to talk about this like a week ago. And
Interesting.
it was uh it was all of the things that were kind of being starting to get stacked up against her. She had developed sleep apnea, she had developed asthma,
Mhm.
high blood pressure, she was having problems with her knee. So there was just a lot of things that, were stacked up against her alongside just the insecurity of, just having that weight issue. She just
Mhm.
told me that she was fed up, and she realized that she had to
Wow.
do something. And I think that is kind of a universal place that people have to get to before they decide to make a real decision to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to take a question from our audience. My wife here asked a question here of you. Miss Corinne, welcome to the show. My wonderful wife, Corinne Tendell. Thank you for being here, sweetie. She said,
Okay.
my question is, that's how she said it too. My question is,
Uh-huh.
what's the best way to lose belly fat? Now, I'm sure this is a question you hear a lot from people. People wonder, can you target weight loss or what do you do? She's a relatively smaller person, but still wants to lose, her stomach. She always says, and I always look at her like, you don't have a stomach. But to each his own, everybody sees themselves differently.
Exactly.
What do you tell someone who asks you this question?
All right, so it's a complex question, but it's pretty simple at the same time. So everybody has a different body type. So I think that's the complexity of it. A lot of people have different trouble areas, and a lot of the traditional train of thought is that you cannot spot train. So what that means is, like, say if I'm trying to lose my belly, then I'm going to have to lose a little bit of everything. I would
Mm-hmm.
be kind of an outlier in this train of thought.
Interesting. Are you okay?
um,
Well, do tell.
because I honestly do believe there is some spot training. Otherwise, why would you go in the gym and say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on a specific body part? I
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can train your midsection, to be
Mm-hmm.
smaller. But I think the problem with a lot of like people who try to do things like this is that
Mm-hmm.
they say, okay, I want to lose my stomach, so I'm going to do like 1,000 crunches. You know what I mean? But
Right.
your midsection and your core is just like any other body part, is made up of a lot of
Mm-hmm.
smaller muscles that you have to train individually. Like, you have to have a balanced core training plan. And of course, a
Okay.
lot of it is diet and nutrition. I'm definitely going to say that, and your cardio goes
Yeah.
along with that as well. But my
Mm-hmm.
whole thing is like, and it goes with any body part, but with your core and your abs especially, you have to train it
Mm-hmm.
not just, okay, I'm going to do crunches. Like, crunches are only focusing on the top part of your abdominal wall. Like, you want to do
Mm-hmm.
also things like leg raises, knee raises. You want to do target your obliques. Like, all these make up your core. So because what I
Mm-hmm.
find is, and the reason I say this, another reason I say this is because I'll get a client and we'll start working out, and they don't do any ab training beforehand. Now, most of my
Mm-hmm.
clients, I would say, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but
Well,
most
go
of
ahead.
them,
I mean, the bus is here. Throw them. Throw them. That's what the people want to
but
hear.
a lot of them, when I'm like, okay, we got to change up your diet. Like, your diet's, they're not going to, a lot of them aren't changing their diet up right away. But where they're coming in to see me
Uh-huh.
and we're working out and we're training our abs. And they have, like, when we do our measurements, even though they might not have the weight loss that they would have if they're sticking to the diet or a certain diet consistently, they're still going to
Right.
lose some inches in their midsection because they're starting
Okay.
to train their midsection consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So
Excellent.
so my
Okay.
main thing would be, the first thing I would say is, you want to adjust your diet, but you also want to incorporate a core training program, a well balanced one.
Okay. She had a follow up question, and we may come back to that. Now, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this, if you're here live with us, thank you for being here. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, LinkedIn, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. Or if you're watching this by replay, thanks for watching this. This is good information, and you're going to get some of your questions answered potentially just by being with us today. But what Javan just shared with us, as he said he's a bit of an outlier. If you look at a lot of the people who are, I look at a lot of people on YouTube and a lot of people talking about this topic, and most people say, you can't spot train, you can't. And I hear you saying, well, if you target those muscles specifically well enough in a well-rounded way, not just crunches, because that's one part of a complex system of muscles, that you can have some level of impact. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be ready to hit the beach this summer because all you did was crunches and eat crunch bars, right? Like that doesn't work,
That's
right?
not what I'm saying.
That's not what he's saying. But but you've seen change, you've seen the inches
Yes.
come off, and you've seen people start to get to a better place. And then when they hit the diet, they kick it into gears. What I'm guessing. Now,
Yes.
my wife's follow-up question was, what food should I not eat? And I'm sure you've heard this question 1,000 times. Like, what is it? Just don't eat a crunch bar and no Cheetos, or is it like don't eat anything with carbs, or is it don't eat anything with fat, or is it don't eat anything with protein? What say you, Javan, about this particular topic?
First of all, these are the best questions because I'm going to say something and then somebody else will say, no, that's wrong.
Right, right.
But
Of course.
because we all have our different philosophies of training. But I'm going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you my way. These are my beliefs from my experience, and also
Mm-hmm.
just mainly through experience. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Right,
feel like that's the best teacher. So what
right.
I would say is this. First of all, everyone's different. Everyone's different
Mm-hmm.
as of like I can eat 300 to 400 grams of carbs and I'll be fine. Like, and what I find with like somebody else,
What are you bragging? I mean, what are you saying? Whatever. That's okay. Whatever.
but a lot,
Trying to make us feel bad. What?
but a lot. But I say this to say that a lot of the things that we can do is genetic. Like it's because hey, maybe your dad or mom is a hard loser. They can look at a Snickers and they'll gain 10 pounds just by looking at it. You know what I
Right,
mean? Their body's not
right.
going to process the carbs like someone else who's naturally like a thin person like myself. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to do something a little bit different. So let's take somebody. Usually, I would say women are along this case where
Mm-hmm.
they might have to have their carbs and their calories. They're going to have to restrict those a little bit more than someone else. So I would say stay away from these type of foods. Generally speaking, if
Uh-huh.
because nothing's
Generally
universal.
speaking.
Yeah, generally
Right.
speaking, and again, for me, it's times of the day that I say, okay, you want to stay away from this type of foods. So, like, say later on in the day, this is my general belief that you want to back off the carbs a little bit later on in the day. If you're trying to lose, you don't want to pound a ton of carbs right before you go to bed. Generally speaking, like Americans, our clocks and our eating clock is backwards. We get up early
Uh-huh.
or we get up for work, we're running late, we don't eat breakfast. So right
Right.
away, you're putting yourself behind the eight ball. When you wake up in the morning, you want to put something in your system that's going to start your body burning those calories, get your body going. At the end of the day, that's when you want to have your balanced meal, your protein, your carbs, and your healthy fats. Like you want to put all that stuff in you
Mm-hmm.
to get you going for the day. The middle of the day,
Right.
you want to stay balanced too. Once you get towards the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, you want to start to take those carbs out. So you don't want to be eating potatoes late. You don't want to be eating a ton of rice late. Usually what I have people do is, or I suggest is that, have some type of lean protein and a veggie late. Maybe you could throw some healthy fats in there, but you don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
pounding, like spaghetti and lasagna and pizza, what people
Right.
usually eat late. You don't want to be eating that stuff late. If you are going to
Right.
eat something like that, eat it for lunch. You know what I mean? Give your
Right.
body a chance to burn those calories, burn those carbs. So I usually
Love
try
that.
and advise people to stay. Generally speaking, you want to stay away from soda. Stay away from drinking your
Mm-hmm.
calories because when you start to drink your calories, they climb so fast. Like people call it, the beer gut.
Yeah.
You drink a lot of beer, you pound 6 beers, you pounded how many carbs, without even thinking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So these are
Yep.
things you want to try and stay away from. Another thing that people say is, like, what can I snack on? What I really try and get people to get away from the idea of is snacking. We're snacking because, we're in quarantine because we're bored, not necessarily
True. Very
because we're
true.
hungry. You like
Right.
have a strategy to your eating. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Right.
I eat at this time, I eat at this time, I eat at this time. The in between times is when you're fighting yourself, like not necessarily because you're hungry, but because it's a habit or you're bored or you're feeling down.
Right.
Have strategic times when you eat. So
I
I don't
love
know if I
that.
answered that question, but
Javen, I think you did an excellent job. For everybody out there watching, give some hearts, give some love. If you appreciated that answer, um, Angela Hardesty here, one of our faithful followers, always here on Lucas Tyndale Live. Angela, thank you for being here again. She said, I went on a no carb. She said, I went on no carbs, stopped soda a year ago, and lost 45 pounds in 6 months just by
wow.
making that change
Hmm.
by cutting back and cutting down. Now, apparently, you're saying based on particular body types that works. And you also said, not that you would recommend everybody has to go no carbs, but you did say you would recommend everybody go no pop, no soda, cut that out if you can. And that includes beer, that includes wine, that includes things that have extra sugars. That doesn't mean you can't have maybe any.
Right.
But please clarify for us because some people are like, I don't drink pop, but I do have 6 glasses of wine every night before I go to sleep, right before bed, and I pass out with the bottle, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have, I don't drink juices, but I do drink all of this stuff over here. I do drink it. I
Exactly.
do have my 6 pack of beers every day. So
Hmm.
help us understand drinking calories and how drastically people can change their body type, change not their body type, but change their body and their image and their weight by
Yeah.
cutting out calories from beverages.
Yeah. So, you well, one. Hey, Angela, thanks for your question. And I would
Hmm.
say, like, even what I'm saying is, I'm not saying I would never say this. I would never say never
Hmm.
drink beer, and I would never say I
Hmm.
would never even say never drink pop, even though I think you should
Uh-huh.
drink pop. But
Right.
and I would never even say don't do any carbs because my whole thing is about balance, and you have to live a lifestyle that's maintainable. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if your thing is like you like beer, then hey, maybe once a week on a Saturday or Sunday, if you plan it, you're watching the game
Hmm.
and you have a beer, that's fine. Just
Cool.
make it strategic, make it
Hmm.
planned. You know what I'm saying? Don't just
Right.
pound a beer and then pound three more. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
just make that plan because when you like when you drink your calories, you're going to eat your normal food. So the reason that
Right.
the drinking your calories adds up because say I'm on if I go out to eat, I'm going to eat my normal food. But when you start to
Hmm.
drink the calories, that's when it kind of really gets away from you because you're just adding more and
Yeah.
more carbs onto what you've already eaten. So and it's a lot of times it's just subconscious. If you're in a group setting, especially like if you're at a party
Hmm.
or just say you go out with your friends after work, for drinks or something
Right.
like that, just the drinking your calories can just add up really rapidly. So
I think
that's kind of
this
what
is
I would
really
say.
good. This is really important because this show is about education, motivation, liberation now. And I want to set some people free. And I want to educate people though. So again, what about wine? I mean, people are like, I have my glass of wine every night. Is that high in calories? Is there a lot of sugar in that? What's the deal with having a glass of wine or two or three every night? What would you say? And I think it's interesting too. I'm curious about wine, but I'm also interested in knowing the difference between, like you go to the restaurant and they pour you a glass of wine, and it's this little thing you swish around like mouthwash, and you're like, and you're done. And then you go to people's house and they're like pouring a whole thing on, you're like everybody's cups is full, and you're like can't even get. So what about wine? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who do like to enjoy a glass of wine every evening.
Yeah, I mean, say you have a glass of wine every night, you're probably looking at just a glass of wine. You're probably looking somewhere around, like, depending on the kind. And
Uh
they say
huh.
red wine is a little bit better for us as well. So, like,
Hmm.
you're probably looking somewhere between 150, somewhere around those calories. With a decent glass of
Hmm.
wine. Um,
Right.
and if you are an alcohol drinker, then there's levels of alcohol. As far as like some that are better than others. So wine
Right.
wine would kind of be on that middle-ish section of like, okay, we're getting into more calories as far as carbs and things like that. But there's so many other. First of all, there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine with your meal. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, but it's just when it becomes 2 and 3 and 4, that's when you kind of run into trouble. But
Gotcha.
like say you got your wine, and then you have like your hard liquors and things like that. Like vodka and stuff like that. Those are going to be lower in calories. But it all depends on, the quantity and things like that as well. And then you got your beers and things like that, where you're going to find, especially like your IPAs or your darker, beers and things like that. That's when you're going to run into, more and more calories. So
Gotcha.
if you stick with the your Tito's vodka or something like that, that you're gonna have less
You'll be
calories.
okay.
You got like
I mean, you don't want to go crazy. You may not be okay because you might mess up the rest of your life.
Exactly.
But you might be okay.
I'm just saying on a calorie basis. You're strictly talking speaking calories here. Yeah.
Speaking calories.
You're looking like 80 to 100, somewhere in there. Whereas a glass of wine, you're going to be looking at higher.
Right. I'd be interested quickly to hear your thoughts on coffee, not just coffee, but the frappuccinos and the coffee drinks, because people start their mornings off a lot of times with some serious drinks. Dunkin' Donuts has some pretty serious drinks. Starbucks has some serious drinks. Should we be drinking the frappuccino? Should we be drinking it with cream? Can we add a couple packets of sugar? Or is the equal and things like that, those artificial sugars okay? Can you just kind of help us out with that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is great. That stuff, the frappuccinos and that stuff, I wouldn't go even near that.
Don't go anywhere near frappuccino.
Don't even touch the cup.
The cup might make you fat. Be careful.
Those things are horrible. Like if you could say horrible in all caps,
like the worst. Worst.
If there is one thing I would say never drink, don't drink those.
Okay, right. I never say never, except now.
Don't ever drink those. I mean, because these are like mass amounts, and it's like when you jam pack just like a pound of sugar into something. It's that.
Horrible.
I mean, sugar and fat, and just stay away. Now, with as far as like the artificial sweeteners, like there's so many different trains of thought in that. I mean, and when you start to do those a lot, then you're talking like long-term health, as far as like like there's research that maybe those can lead to cancers and different illnesses like that. Now, here again, I'm speaking this is my own perspective.
We appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, you didn't just make this stuff up, right? You studied a few things, right? Okay.
So
you didn't just wake up today and was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna confuse some people today.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, if you're talking on just a straight calorie basis, first of all, I would say if you're gonna drink coffee, coffee is fine, but I would do black if you can.
Straight black coffee.
Yeah.
If you had to add something to it, what would you start with? Cream, 2% milk, almond milk, soy milk? What would you start with?
I would start with almond milk. If you're going to add something, I would start with almond milk to make it,
Okay, then I need to sweeten it. A little bit more. What do I go to next? Or is that where we draw the line? Because people don't know where the line is. They're like, he said I could put almond milk in there and it ain't going to hurt if I put a couple packets of this sugar and it ain't going to hurt. Where is the line? What is your recommendation?
I would recommend, if you can, I would stay away from the sugar. If you can, I would really try and stay away from the sugar. If you had to do sugar, I would, because I don't.
You don't have to lie on Lucas Tyndale Live. If you don't want to tell the people to do something, don't mess them up, because this will be out there for all times, and somebody will pull this up later, be like, James was out here messing people up. What do we need to do?
Honestly, I would just stay away from the sugar. Honestly, I would never tell someone to put sugar in their coffee. I wouldn't do it. But if you did, I would do one. Sugar in the raw,
little as possible.
Yeah. And if you did an artificial sweetener, I would say limit that as well. But if you did an artificial sweetener, you're not going to hurt yourself on a calorie perspective. I would be one more so to do an artificial sweetener. But I'm not necessarily recommending that for someone. But I would, if it was me, I would be more inclined to do the artificial sweetener and save myself the calories. But I'm not saying artificial sweeteners are healthy. But
All
I'm saying
right,
on a
very good. Just for the record,
strictly on a calorie basis.
you're
You're
not
just
going to
speaking
add any calories
you're
with
not going
it,
to add any
but you
calories.
might have some issue later in life that you didn't
Yes.
plan for,
That,
and
right.
you grow a third leg, and you're like, where does third leg come from? Like,
Something we
them
don't know
artificial
about yet.
sweeteners.
Yeah. It's
All
gonna
right,
come back.
it's going to come back on it.
Come back
All
around.
right. Right. So here we have some comments from our audience here. Tyler said he's guilty of eating out of boredom. Tyler, another loyal follower. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the broadcast as always. He's been there, done that. Angela Hardesty again. She lost all that weight. She lost 45 pounds in 6 months, but she's saying I gotta have my coffee French vanilla. All right, just be careful now, Angela. Gotta have coffee French vanilla. Corinne says sweeten it with pure maple syrup. What's the deal with that? She's like Elf. I don't know. She loves maple syrup. I don't know. I don't know if that's okay or what, but I don't want to call her out. I know her well. She's a beautiful lady in good shape. But Elf was big on the maple syrup on
Yeah, he
everything.
was. I remember he
It's
put it on.
pure maple.
He put it in spaghetti.
He put on the spaghetti. Yes, he did. He did. So, what's the deal with? There's so many natural things at
Yeah.
the store. Like the health
Yeah.
food store.
Uh-huh.
Rest in peace, Earth Fare is gone, but we got Fresh Time and Whole Foods. You see these things and you're like, well, this is cool. This is a good substitute. And then you read a lot about that. When you have a little one, that's okay. We heard a little shout, as long as she's okay.
She was in
It's all
the
good.
other room.
It's all
So.
good. Oh, okay, she's in the room by herself. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so it's all good. So, what do you tell people when they're looking at all these other types of sweeteners that we think, like honey? Is honey okay? Maple syrup? If you could speak to those two.
Yeah, I honestly I stick with honey. I try, and even as I progress on and as I continue to move along, I try and stay the more natural route. So I would say if you're gonna do something, do like sugar in the raw, or you can do like maybe pure maple syrup or honey. I'm not a big coffee. First, I gotta admit, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee. I mean, like at all. But this I'm just trying to give you like suggestions as far as going the healthiest route. So I would say if you're gonna do something, but with the maple syrup, like a lot of times you can get carried away if you're not like specifically measuring these things. Like maple syrup, like you squeeze the syrup in there, and who knows how much you're actually putting in your coffee. So, like when I suggest things to people, and when I especially with people with serious like weight loss goals, or they're like maybe a person who's trying to compete or something like that. One thing that I'm big on is measuring your food, knowing exactly what you're putting into your body. So, because if you're just squirting syrup or honey, into your coffee, like I said, you have no idea how much sugar and carbs you're actually, putting in, to that coffee.
That's excellent.
So.
Excellent answer. Excellent input. I want to bring up another picture here. These are some ladies that you've worked with. And I want to know, were these ladies almost like this when you met them, or what was the deal? How do you get somebody to this level of fitness? You guys can see this picture here. Tell us what this is. Where are you guys at here? You got the mean face on. You're ready to go. You're the coach. You're the trainer. What's the deal with these ladies? They must have came to you and they said, what were their goals and how did you help them get there? What was the plan? How do you get somebody in this kind of shape?
Yeah, so like first of all these ladies are they were wide ranges, totally different physiques that we were working with here, and I think that's one of my favorite things about working with clients is that they come from all different backgrounds. So this is a competition that I think 2 years ago, a competition up in Cleveland that we did, and I think I had So I had 6 ladies in this competition that I was helping, to prepare for this show. And
Mm-hmm.
once again, they were from all different spectrums as far as like body types and where they came from beforehand. I should have sent you some before and afters because
It's okay.
yeah, they were all all different. The girl on the
Yeah.
far right, she had a
Yeah.
drastic weight loss. So I think she lost
Okay.
about probably about 40 pounds for this competition, 40 to
Wow.
50 pounds for the competition. The girl next to her, she was more. They all lost some. She was
Uh-huh.
more probably around the 25 to 30 range, 25ish. The girl next to her, the girl next to me, which would be left if you're facing the
Right.
screen, if we're looking at the
Yeah.
screen. She
Yep.
won her class that day. She
Wow.
was similar, about 30 pounds. The lady next to her, she was she had already started her weight loss journey, and
Mm-hmm.
she probably was maybe like 20ish pounds, but it's all a totally different perspective, like the body type
Right.
that you kind of have to achieve for like a competition type of physique, so, and it's a drastic physique, it's a dramatic physique, something that you're not going to walk around like that on a daily basis.
Right.
It's not healthy to do that, especially for women, because the 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 body fat percentage that they would have to get to being stage ready is something that
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't want to stay that way, or maintain that low body fat, especially if you're a female.
It's not a healthy body weight. Okay, so
Oh,
these
and
ladies now go ahead.
or yeah, not especially like body fat percentage.
Body fat percentage, gotcha.
Yeah, because
Yeah. So it's
you're
not
gonna
about the
start.
weight, it's about the body fat percentage.
Right, because at a certain body fat percentage, a woman is going to start to disrupt her natural body processes. So
Right.
these are things that for a long term, you don't want to continue that. So
Got you. So one of the questions that you said you get a lot from women is is lifting weights and working out going to make me bulky, especially lifting weights, right? Is that the question that you get a lot? And help us understand that some women are like, I don't want to look anything like these women, or they're like, I want those abs, but I don't want those arms, or I want that, I want I want a nice butt, but I don't want to have my legs so muscular. I look like I'm about to kick a hole in the wall. I don't want to look like that. So what's the deal with that? Women are often worried about bulking up. Can they control that? What do you tell them when they ask you that question?
yeah, I mean, like once again, it's all in the strategy in which you do it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's like, okay, first of all, lifting weights is going to be it should be a big part of your training program. It
Mm-hmm.
should be at least something that you use especially if you're trying to lose weight, just by
Mm-hmm.
if I have someone who's trying to lose weight, just by lifting weights, you're going to automatically build a base of muscle, which is going to
Right.
allow you to burn more fat at rest. It's going to raise your resting metabolic rate. So
Okay.
just that, gaining that alone, that base of muscle alone, is going to allow you to reach your goal of losing weight or getting more tone.
Gotcha. Okay.
What
Are they going to get too bulky though?
no, our, like, say someone who's competing, our regimen is dramatic as far as the weightlifting and the weight training. Like they're weight training 5 days a week. You know what I mean? 5 to 6 days a week.
Right.
So and I mean, and the extent to where they're doing as far as the timing and things like that, the load, how much they're lifting when they are weight training, it's a total different dynamic to
It's
someone
not
who's
what
just
most
trying.
people are going to be doing.
Yeah, just someone who's just
Okay.
trying to maybe tone up or build a nice butt. You know what I'm saying? It's just totally
Gotcha.
different.
Okay, let's talk about that. We want to talk about the things that people want to know about on this show on Lucas Tyndale Live. So we live in a day and age where obviously everybody's looking at people on TV. You said one of the questions you said that you get a lot are people say, "How can I look like insert their favorite celebrity who's been photoshopped and airbrushed? How do I look like Kim Kardashian? How do I look like this person?" And you're like, "What are you talking about?" But when it comes to the butt is a muscle, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. It is a muscle, and it's something that people are either like, I need to lose weight, I need to tone it up, or I'm too thin, I'm too skinny, I need to build it up. What's the deal with the butt? What would you recommend, especially to the women out there? What do they do if they want to have, they want to look really, really good this summer and have a hot girl summer or something? What do they do with that part of their body?
All right. So generally speaking, so say if you're training your butt, it goes along the same lines what I was speaking earlier about getting a tighter midsection. Like there's so many
Mm-hmm.
different aspects of training your butt. Like a lot of people just think, okay, but squat challenge. If I do 100 squats a night, I'm going to build my butt and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be perfect. And that's just not the case. You have to train your butt from a lot of different angles. So if you're doing
Mm-hmm.
your squats, and even in the squat realm, there's different types of squats that you're going to do to target different aspects of your butt. So
Mm-hmm.
say if I was to say, okay, let's someone who wants to train their butt and get it rounder or build it up, you got to add your
Mm-hmm.
lunges, you got to do kickbacks, you got to do hydrants, you got to train your butt all around. You can't just do squats and expect, okay, now I'm going to get a good butt. Now some people
Right.
are genetically predisposed to have a bigger butt, a more rounder butt. It's going to be easier for
Mm-hmm.
them to get to the place than somebody who is born with no butt. Their mom don't have a butt, their grandma don't have a butt. and you
Racism, no butt.
yeah.
And
So
you.
and
Right.
and they're just expecting to, like, okay,
They're trying to
you
break a generational curse out here. It's not easy.
like,
Okay.
yeah, you're not just going to build it out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? But you can.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that anything can be improved.
Yes.
But you can't just say, okay, I want to have a butt like Kim Kardashian or whoever, and
Right.
I'm going to do
Because
squats
that
to
costs a
get
lot
there.
of money in the
Yeah,
labs and whatnot.
exactly.
Right.
And I'm gonna do a bunch of squats to
Uh-huh.
get there. But you have to train. First of all, you got to train your butt all around. Like you can't just do squats and expect, okay, now I'm going to improve my butt or my glute muscles just from doing a bunch of squats. You have
Right.
you have to you have to do have a balanced approach to training.
Great. Great. I want to, and you do. By the way, you guys can follow him at Javan Fit here on Facebook and on YouTube. He's been posting a lot of workouts as people are quarantined; they're in their house. He's showing people how they can do it with limited supplies. He's not saying, "Okay, if you have a whole workout equipment, if you have an in-home gym, let's get started." He's like, "Get a chair and a towel and a jump rope, or some real simple stuff that he's helping people walk through some at-home workouts." So please check him out at Javen Fit. Especially go follow that YouTube channel because you can see those workouts that he's posting there. And make sure you hit that bell icon when you subscribe to somebody's YouTube channel and you really want to know what's going up and what they're posting, so you can stay up to date on what's going on, as many of you guys have done for me. Make sure you hit the bell icon and turn on all notifications so that you know. But Javen, one of the things you've been trying to do is help people right now while they're quarantined. Let's talk about this. The quarantine impacts you too. Tell us about how much time you were spending in the gym before, and tell us how you've tried to find a substitute at home. Do you have a full at home gym, or what are you doing? And then what would you recommend others do during this quarantine?
Yeah, the quarantine, it affected me a lot. I don't have a full home gym. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
I have two pairs of dumbbells and some bands. And
That's it.
I'm pretty limited as to what I had before the quarantine. I
Mm-hmm.
would spend about a typical training session for me personally was about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
An hour and a half, and so I pretty much am doing a lot of weight training. I'm doing a lot of free weights mixed with machines, and I had to accommodate for a lot of the things that I don't have right now. Uh,
Right.
so you know, so basically that's what I'm missing is a lot. So I'm going to like a
Yep.
traditional gym like a LA Fitness or something like that, and that's where I'm kind of working out usually outside of quarantine.
But right now you're stuck in with the rest of us, and
Yeah.
you're making it work out. I want to introduce our audience to a young man here whom I've seen this guy once or twice before, and it always brings tears to my eyes to see this guy here. This is young Javan right here. Every time he posts this picture, I get a good laugh, and I think, no way that this was young Javan. Look at those arms. Those were the arms that got for getting tattooed, and people were like, "Erase those tattoos. You cannot put tattoos on those sticks. It is not acceptable." And he said, "Forget this. I'm taking control of my life, and I'm going to
Exactly.
make some changes." So this was you. How old were you here? And was
That,
this a part of your reason for change?
yeah, that was. But back then, back then I was cool with how I looked. I
Oh, you
didn't.
didn't care. You were young. It didn't matter.
Back then I was cool.
Right.
Yeah,
You thought there was a muscle. That
yeah,
was like a wristband on your arm. Like
yeah. I was like, hey man, as long as I can see my abs, I'm cool. So,
right, right. And you can
but
clearly see them, right? You can see them ribs.
yeah, that was because I was malnourished.
Okay,
They
great.
didn't
Great.
have,
This is a picture of a starving
yeah,
child.
they didn't have a choice but to show.
Right. Times were tough. But you changed that. And Javen, some of you may not know, Javen and I used to work together, and I never saw someone eat with so much purpose. Like, first of all, it seemed like he was eating all the time. I was like, is he eating again? It's not lunchtime. It's not, what is this, lunch fist, Leonard? What are you making up meals? What is this? Are you having brunch again? Like, what are you doing, right? So it seemed like he was eating a lot, but he was eating, like he said for all of us, he said, eat with a plan. He said, don't even snack. Like a snack is like this random thing that happens because you feel like you want to have a little something to eat or because you walk through your kitchen when you're working at home. He said, plan it. Know what times you're going to eat what, plan what you're going to eat, measure it out. So you are the most disciplined person I ever saw from an eating perspective because I actually got to spend whole days with you and whole weeks with you and watch you eat a bowl of ground beef, lean ground beef, mind you, with a little bit of rice, measured out in a bowl, heated up, that looked like something that I was thinking, like, that's not a hamburger with all this fancy stuff on it. It's just meat in a bowl, but you were eating it with purpose. How did you get to a place where you could eat with so much purpose?
Like a lot of mine was motivation driven. When
Mm-hmm.
I saw you and when I knew you, I was preparing for I think it was my second competition, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a little bit of a background as to developing the consistency and knowing what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole motivation was to do a lot better and to improve upon the competition that I did previously. So I just had that vision in my
Mm-hmm.
head, and everything that
Mm-hmm.
I did was driven by the fact that I just want to get better. And
Right.
when I did that first competition, I didn't expect to place. So when I
Right.
actually placed, I placed fifth, and only the top five,
Mm-hmm.
get a trophy or whatever, or the top five is
Mm-hmm.
considered placing. But when I actually placed, it put in my head that okay, I can do this. Like I felt like okay, maybe this is my niche. So it drove
Right.
me to try and do everything I could to win. So
Yeah.
everything that I did through the course of that next year was
Mm-hmm.
driven towards okay, I want to do everything I can to put myself in the best position to improve and also to win. So you met me at an extremely motivated time, and I
Yeah.
was very very motivated to improve and to win. I mean that was just the basis of it.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was a pleasure to get to see that level of discipline. And I took that lesson and I thought about it for life. I thought if somebody can do this with eating and diet and exercise, then certainly we could do it with other things in our lives, right? Like prayer or spending time with our kids or how we treat our wives or building a business or work or doing a show, right? So I started doing a live show a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm going to go live. And I was like, I'll figure it out. I don't know how often. I don't know what I'm going to do. But slowly over time, I've been able to refine it and figure it out and get a little bit better and get a plan. But I'm ready for the journey. I'm committed to it. Whether there's 1,000 people watching or one person watching, I'm committed to it. So I just want to thank you for showing me how discipline can have a tangible impact in our lives. You definitely were able to show me that. I want to show one more picture here to show, just to show them that it's you work with men and women. Tell us about the differences there when it comes to working with men and women. Is there a difference in how you train them and how you talk to them and how you deal with it? Uh, just help us understand as a personal trainer how that works for you.
Yeah, and I think as far as like the training and things like that, it depends on if they're doing a competition or whatnot. It depends on their goals. There,
Okay.
I don't, I don't necessarily like to generalize, especially just the specific training aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
as like men and women, because I think it's a case by case basis. Like you can take a guy. I've had guys who are whiners, and then I've had guys who,
Uh-huh.
they kind of just do whatever it takes, to get to
Right.
where they want to go. But then I
Yep.
mean, and there are women who are some of the hardest workers that I know, who, that
Yep.
they never complain. I can say, okay, we're doing this, we're doing this, no breaks, and they're like, okay, let's do it. And
Wow.
then
That's awesome.
it's just a case by case basis. But I like to train and work with a wide variety of people. It's exciting to not,
Mm-hmm.
like these are competition photos, but I've worked with a lot of people who have no dreams or aspirations of competing, and
Mm-hmm.
that makes it exciting for me. If I only worked with people who
Right.
compete, it would drive me personally crazy, because
Interesting.
people who compete, um, there is such intensity that goes into that. It's so extreme that
Yeah.
it's just it's around the clock. There is no break when you decide to
Right.
do something like that. Um, and it's a big step, and I don't go after people like, okay, you need to compete, because that is something that you have to decide that for yourself. Because
Right.
you have to be
Abs.
driven. You have to be driven to do that. So
Yep.
it's a case by case basis, but I really enjoy working with a wide variety of people. It makes work interesting, and it
Yeah.
allows me to get better at working with different types of clients.
Awesome. Okay, before we end here, can you tell people again how they can get a hold of you? And then what could you offer someone who you are in the Akron area? There's people all over. How can you help people? Can you do meal plans? Do you do workout regimens that you can send them? How can people get a hold of you? And what can you offer someone who maybe can't get to you for training?
You can get a hold of me at javanfit.com, also javanfit@gmail.com. These are my email addresses. Um, right now, I'm offering workout plans. I'm working at home. I'm offering at-home workout routines, personalized workout routines. These are things that, like we talked about earlier, I'm used to working out an hour and a half in the gym, and a lot of people may be used to working out in the gym, and some people may not be used to working out at all. I think this
Mm-hmm.
quarantine, a lot of what I'm trying to show people is that you might not be able to get the same workout that you were able to get in the gym, but you can do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can use a
Right.
chair, a band, the dumbbells that you have to target different muscle groups so that you can get the best workout possible. And
Right.
really that's what I'm really trying to focus on right now. I'm also doing ab workouts every week. I have an ab class that I'm offering Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. I'm doing boot camp. I have a
Awesome.
boot camp on Saturdays at 10 a.m. These are things that I'm offering for people just who are stuck at home, or who are trying to find
Mm-hmm.
something to do, just to stay active. And even if they're just beginning to
Right.
begin their fitness journey, these are things that I'm trying to offer for them. So.
I love that. I love that. And I've seen some of the things you posted about boot camp, and is it $10 for to join the boot camp on Saturdays?
Yeah, so right now the
The
boot camp is
virtual
ten
boot camp?
dollars. Yeah, the virtual boot
Yeah.
camp is $10. And what I'm going to be doing, because I've
Mm-hmm.
only been doing it once a week, what I'm going to be doing pretty soon here is opening it up to 3 days a week. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be doing a 3 day a week boot camp. So those will be on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Monday and Wednesday
Uh-huh.
afternoon at 5, and then Saturday again at 10 a.m. So I'm going to be opening that up, and these are going to be things just to give people more opportunity to kind of join in what I'm doing here.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Javen, you've been an exceptional guest. Great info today. Tyler says, great info today. I know others enjoyed it. I know my wife got something out of it. Angela, the others, Christina, those others who are on today, those who are watching by replay, we want to thank you guys for joining us by replay. We hope you enjoyed this entire broadcast, or that you saw the parts that you needed to hear and you heard what you needed to hear. But if you need more help with your fitness journey and you need to build the discipline to change your life, if you need help with portion control and planning out your day and planning out your meals and having someone who's already done the research, already looked into it, who can help you understand, can I have a glass of wine? Should I not have a glass of wine? Whatever it may be for your routine, for your day, for your life, Javen is the guy. I would highly recommend him. I look forward, Javen, to possibly having you back on the show if you'd be interested. And I have a couple other ladies and gentlemen that are in the fitness industry. I'd love to possibly bring you guys on as a panel and just really let people ask questions of you guys and really get the help they need, because we know that lifetime fitness is so important to each and every one of us. So thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you, Javen. Everybody who was on tonight, again, thank you guys again. Everybody tune in tomorrow night. Listen, I have a special guest. Let me guys let you know, those who are on here, guests coming up. I'll be posting tonight. I'm going to share who's coming up for the rest of the week. We're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, and we're going to have attorney Corey Minor-Smith on tomorrow. Attorney Corey Minor-Smith will be on tomorrow. She's a mental health expert. She wrote the book Driven. She has had a great level of success and has made a huge impact in her community and around the world, has been featured on Fox News and Sirius satellite radio shows. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. If you know her, if you don't know her, you don't want to miss her story tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to have a good friend of mine, Cyrus Asar, on from California. He'll be on. He's from Ohio, but he now lives in California, is doing big things. He's going to be talking to us as well. He's a suicide prevention specialist. He's written 3 books. He's won several awards. He's the youngest winner of the United Way's award around philanthropy. So he's raised millions of dollars for charity. He's a great guy. I'm so excited to have him on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Alec Simon. If you don't know Alec Simon, you want to be on Thursday night to meet Alec. Alec is a great guy. He's a motivational speaker. He's an MC and a host for so many events, corporate events, other events. He's mostly known. People know him as a drummer, as a musician. He's just an excellent person, loving person. He cares about everybody. And I want you guys to be on with us Thursday, each night this week, Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Please don't miss it. We look forward to seeing you guys here on the show. Again, thank you, Javen. Everybody who was here, have a great night.